So this is the Ibanez Yvette Young signature model. It's a massive departure from what you'd expect from Ibanez, I think. In terms of the specs and the way that they've approached it, it's quite a nice change to see from Ibanez. They're obviously moving away from some of those like wizard style things, although they are continuing to do that with the RG series and things like that. But this is really cool. So if you're not familiar with who Yvette Young is, she is an amazing guitar player. She plays in a band called Covet, and she has like her own solo career as well, where she plays piano and stuff. But the thing that's most interesting about her is her approach to guitar, and that is that she approaches it sort of like a piano. So she's doing a lot of two-handed tapping because she's playing that math rock style stuff. She's doing some really nice chords. She plays in different tunings, which is why this particular model from Ibanez comes with a different standard factory tuning to the rest of their lineup. It comes in, I'm going to have to read this, but it comes in E, B, G, C, A and F as their factory tuning. So you're getting some nice open tuning there. I've currently got it tuned up to standard because my E, G, C, F thing vocabulary isn't there. So, and I didn't want to spend ages working some stuff out, so I just played it in standard. So if we jump into what makes the guitar really cool, the main thing is their approach to putting all of this stuff together. If you're familiar with the Talman series, this is a Talman style body, which is sort of Ibanez's answer to a Telecaster, I think. But they've done some really cool things on it. So on the back here, we've got some recessed areas. So we've got a belly cut, which is great. And we've got this like cutaway here as well on the back, which means that you can get your hand right up the top. And it's a little bit less obnoxious to be able to get that thing. We've also got a little cutaway on the neck heel here, which means that it's going to follow the contour of your hand a little bit easier, which is good. So the main thing though with this guitar, and the thing that immediately struck us when we took it out of the box, was this has got a chunky neck on it. Like, this is not wizard thin. This is like the opposite of wizard thin. And it's something that's really cool to see from Ibanez, because when you think Ibanez, you generally think like really thin necks and that sort of thing. This is chunky. And what that means is when you're playing and doing all of these chord shapes and things and tapping away, you've got like something to really anchor your hand with, because often when you're tapping, like you've got your hand in front and you're not necessarily leveraging the body with your elbow or anything like you would normally do when you're playing guitar normally. Yeah, chunky neck. One of the things that, as well, that I noticed about this was that when I was playing, like when you strum a chord, the neck really vibrates, and that's something that's really, really nice to see, particularly because this is like an Indonesian model. This is something you don't normally see that much on certain guitars. But you know, you can do that. I can feel it in my hand. That feels great. So if we jump into the specs very quickly, if we start with the headstock, we've got Goto locking tuners. Locking tuners are fantastic. You literally just put the string in and you're away. We've got a bone nut on this model, which is great because you're not going to have as much friction with it in comparison to some like cheaper sort of nuts, which is really cool to see. So we've got 22 medium frets on this guitar, and the reason I presume that they've gone for the 22 instead of like a 24 fret model, which you'd expect from Ibanez, is probably to do with the positioning of the neck single coil. So particularly in guitars where you've got 24 frets, the neck single coil moves back slightly and it picks up a slightly different harmonic range. So I presume that they've done it like that. Also 22 frets is probably all you need for something like this anyway. So. we jump into the pickups, we've got Seymour Duncan 5.2 pickups. These are all single coils. They sound fantastic. So one of the things that I really noticed was that the response from them is really crisp and clean, which is perfect when you're like doing that tapping thing, but also when you're doing really nice sort of extended chords, and they've got a nice amount of bottom end to it without it being overpowering, which I thought was really, really nice. One of the things that we might include later is them handling some high gain stuff. And to be honest, they really handle that high gain thing really, really well, or better than expected. It sounds fat and full, and it's got articulation there, and I was actually quite surprised by that. So these are really good pickups. In terms of the control layout, we've obviously got a front jack on this, but the control layout is more in line with something you'd expect from like an RG series or a Strat or something like that, rather than a Telecaster thing. And what that means is that you're able to just swap pickup like naturally, as opposed to having to flick a little switch thing, which is really, really useful. Volume and tone, which is normal. And then we've actually got a 6-point Wilkinson trem on this as well, which is like a vintage style trem. I've currently got this decked, so it's like completely back, the springs are pulling it. So it's essentially operating like a hardtail while it's pushing against the body, because I didn't really want to use the bar because we were doing like tapping stuff and changing tuning and things like that. So the last thing to mention, I think, is probably the paint job on this. It's a sparkly light lime green sort of color. I just said it looked like flubber, and then I was corrected by Mark, who said that flubber was a darker green. So if you have the correct green shade and a point of reference for that, please leave that in the comments, because we'd like to Google that. So as an overview, I think this guitar is really cool, actually. It's something that's quite different from Ibanez, and it shows. Like, that neck profile is like chunky and fat, which is not expected from Ibanez. We've got things that make it in line with like players' guitars, so we've got locking tuners, lumen lace, side dots. The pickups were really good, actually. They're really responsive. They're really dynamic as well, which I thought was great, particularly when you put a little bit of drive on and that sort of thing. And then the main thing for me with stuff like this is going to be the pickup location, pickup switch location, and that's in a fantastic place as well. So I think if you're looking for something to tap on, or even just a really nice guitar to play on, this is probably going to be something for you to check out. But, you know, let us know what you think in the comments. If you've got that shade of green, leave us a comment. If you've got any other things that you think about this guitar, then leave a comment as well. If you've enjoyed the video, leave us a like and subscribe to see more stuff like this, and we'll see you next time.